it's kind of funny in this industry because reporters, like the ones who are running around like crazy and putting together these big, package stories, are the ones that are usually like um, they're like typically paid the least amount in the newsroom. You like work your way up to be on the anchor, the star of the show or whatever. But it's kind of if I were to base it on, because I've done all of the jobs, if I were to say which one is the hardest, I would say reporting is the hardest. I think personally that reporters should get paid just as much as anyone else because they're the ones who get doors slammed in their face. They have maybe they come back with all their stuff for their story at 4:30 and they have to have their entire thing done by 5. I mean, it is high stress. It is like I was way more stressed out as a reporter than I ever was. I mean, producing and anchoring, of course has its own hardships. I'm not saying those are easy, but by comparison, I think that reporting definitely gave me the most like anxiety, and I had to get way more confident in my writing and my video and my editing. I had to work on that a lot more than I had to work on, or than I felt I had to work at being on camera. Of course, now I have to fix myself and I want to do better things on camera, but I think reporting is definitely
It's difficult.
I hated it in college. I got out and I actually turned down a few reporting jobs because I wanted something that had at least a little bit of anchoring
Mm.
because I was like, I don't want to be a reporter. I just want to be an anchor. I hate reporting. I want to do it as little as possible. And then it was funny because once I actually got into the field, I really started falling in love with reporting.
Mm.
And now I don't get it to do it as much
Yeah.
just my schedule, which is what I always thought I wanted. And now, of course, I kind of miss reporting, and I always like beg my boss to let me do it whenever I have a second. So
Good for you. So I have seen, because you do post a few things on Facebook, and I do see some exciting things that you've done. And so when you say reporting versus being like in the producing and like being the anchor, when you like in the studio and like there's the background and all that stuff, that's when you're in the studio. That's when you're the anchor. That's when like you're doing that. And all the reporting stuff is outside of the studio stuff. So like you'll be.
not necessarily. So if the anchor just tosses and says like, here's NBC5's Kristina Zagame, typically that means that I reported on that story. I went out and got it, and then I'm just in the studio being like, hey, Kristen, here's what's happening.
Okay.
That so if you're only on there for like a brief like minute 30 whatever, that's typically the reporter sharing like, hey, I did some research, here's what I found, here's the story, here's my video, depending on what it is.
Okay.
Whereas anchoring, you're there for the whole show.